We are counting down the 10 most ordinary public places where you are being recorded, tracked, and data-based, often without your knowledge or your permission. From trusted spaces that quietly collect your biometrics to everyday stops that turn your face and your movements into profit, these locations reveal just how invisible and how legal modern surveillance has become. Which place ranks at the top for the most alarming privacy invasion? Let us begin, starting with number 10. In the 10th place, hospitals and medical facilities quietly collect some of the most sensitive data you possess. Patient check-in systems increasingly rely on biometric technologies, linking faces and fingerprints directly to electronic health records. What feels like a routine visit actually creates a permanent digital profile, tying your identity to every diagnosis, prescription, and appointment. Security cameras in hospital lobbies and corridors capture each arrival and departure. In many states, law enforcement can request this footage without a warrant. That means your presence at a clinic, whether for routine care or something more private, can be tracked and accessed by police without your knowledge or consent. The stakes became clear in 2024 when Washington state filed a lawsuit under the My Health, My Data Act against Amazon, alleging its software development kit harvested precise geolocation data from mobile devices near medical facilities. Internal documents revealed Amazon understood it was capturing sensitive, health-related information. Even if you never sign up for patient portals or opt into digital health programs, just stepping through the doors can trigger surveillance systems that you have no way to avoid or control. Number 9. Starbucks and other coffee shops have quietly turned casual meetups into data collection gold mines. Every cashier station and self-checkout is watched by cameras equipped with facial analytics, technology sold to store owners as a way to prevent theft, but designed to analyze who you are, how often you visit, and even who you sit with. Beyond the cameras, more than 10,000 mobile apps, including popular food and drink apps, embed Amazon's location software development kit. Each time you order ahead or check in for a coffee run, your phone pings your exact location to Amazon, which then packages and resells this data to brokers. These brokers combine video footage and location trails, building detailed behavioral profiles that can be sold to advertisers, insurers, or law enforcement. The footage and data are not just about loss prevention, they are monetized, traded, and stored, often without your knowledge or any real way to opt out. What looks like a simple coffee break ends up feeding a vast commercial surveillance system where your habits and social life become commodities. Central Park in New York stands as a reminder that even the most open, natural spaces are now stitched into the surveillance grid. Security cameras, once pitched as a deterrent for vandalism and petty crime, now map who visits, what activities unfold, and how long people linger on a bench or gather near a playground. A city study found a 30% drop in vandalism after cameras were installed, but the same footage is routinely accessed by law enforcement without a warrant and can be resold for marketing analytics. Vendors promote dashboards that clock dwell time and group sizes, feeding data to private companies eager to understand and influence public behavior. The push for surveillance is not limited to the United States. In Beijing, public parks began using facial recognition dispensers in restrooms in 2017, rationing toilet paper and logging faces in the process. Western cities are now piloting similar technology. What was once a haven for unguarded conversations and spontaneous gatherings has become another node in the data economy, where the line between public safety and constant monitoring continues to blur. Number 7. The Chicago Transit Authority has transformed every bus, train, and subway car into a node in one of the country's most comprehensive surveillance networks. Over 32,000 cameras cover platforms, vehicles, and stations, capturing the faces and movements of millions of daily riders. After the full rollout, the city reported a 32% decline in robberies across the transit system, a statistic often cited to justify the expansion. But every ride, every transfer, and every conversation is recorded, with footage stored indefinitely in digital archives. The scope extends beyond silent observation. Taxis and some buses are equipped with microphones, recording audio alongside video, turning routine commutes into permanent records. There is no opt-out for passengers. In London, a similar approach has produced a network of 1.9 million public cameras, one for every 32 residents, credited with a 20% drop in crime, but also criticized for normalizing constant surveillance. In Chicago, footage is accessible to law enforcement and, in some cases, to private vendors offering analytics services. The promise of safety comes at the cost of perpetual documentation, where stepping onto public transit means surrendering any expectation of privacy. As the next stop in the surveillance state, the daily commute is no longer just about getting from point A to point B. It's about being watched, recorded, and archived with every journey. Number 6. Honda's connected vehicles have quietly turned personal transportation into a rolling surveillance device. Every modern car is packed with telematics, GPS, speed, braking habits, and even seatbelt use, collected automatically and sent back to manufacturers. Honda faced a $632,500 fine under California's CCPA for selling driver data without proper disclosure, a penalty that barely dents the profits generated from these hidden streams of information. The Texas Attorney General launched an investigation in 2024 targeting Honda and Hyundai for selling detailed driving records to insurance companies, a practice estimated to have brought in over $100 million across the industry since 2018. But the reach of this surveillance does not end with the car's own sensors. Automated license plate readers, called ALPRs, scan every plate they see at traffic lights, parking lots, and even drive-thrus. Companies like Vigilant Solutions have pooled more than 20 billion plate scans into databases accessed by law enforcement and private firms, all without a warrant. These scans can reconstruct your travel history over months or years, linking each trip to your identity and selling that information to anyone willing to pay. For drivers, opting out is nearly impossible. The technology is built into vehicles and roadways, with data flowing silently to brokers and agencies. What once felt like the ultimate expression of personal freedom, getting behind the wheel, now means your movements are tracked, analyzed, and sold, mile after mile. Macy's Herald Square has turned a simple shopping trip into a biometric risk zone. Every entrance and fitting room is part of an invisible network, where facial recognition scans, smart mirrors, and AI analytics track shoppers' movements and expressions. Retail tech vendors boast that these smart mirrors analyze over 1 billion fitting room sessions a year, claiming a 9% jump in cross-sell rates by profiling what you try on and how you react. But the promise of better sales comes at a cost. In 2024, a lawsuit filed by Robinson Barr against Macy's and EssilorLuxottica exposed the dark side of retail surveillance. Barr was wrongly arrested after facial recognition software flagged him as a theft suspect, triggering a cascade: AI alert, store security, NYPD, with no human double check. He spent hours in custody before his family proved he was innocent. Macy's is not alone. The Federal Trade Commission slapped Rite Aid with a 5-year ban on facial recognition after the system repeatedly misidentified customers, especially people of color, leading to harassment and ejections. These are not isolated glitches. They are the predictable outcome of algorithms making life-altering decisions in real time, with little oversight and no easy way to opt out. Even when stores post signs about biometric surveillance, the reality is your face and movements are being catalogued, scored, and sometimes weaponized against you, all in the name of retail efficiency. The streets of Washington, D.C. have become the epicenter of urban surveillance, setting a global benchmark for camera density. With 40.8 cameras per 1,000 residents, the city surpasses even the most closely monitored metropolises worldwide. This vast network forms an invisible grid, tracking every step, every gathering, every passing face. The United States now hosts 85 million surveillance cameras, a figure that grows with each new business installation and city contract. While most people expect cameras in stores or banks, few realize that simply walking down a DC sidewalk means appearing on dozens of feeds, some of which stream directly to law enforcement in real time. Los Angeles, for comparison, has 2,900 cameras that give police a live window into daily street life, but DC's density means there is almost no block left unmonitored. For residents and visitors, the reality is inescapable. Every stroll, every protest, Every chance encounter is logged and archived, often without any public disclosure or any practical way to opt out. The scope and integration of these systems have turned public streets into a permanent record, where privacy is no longer a default, but a memory. As the city's camera grid expands, the idea of truly anonymous movement through a city fades into history, replaced by a digital ledger of every public action. Coming to the top 3, a quick stop at 7-Eleven or Speedway now means your face is likely being scanned and stored, even if you are just grabbing a coffee or filling up your tank. Since 2015, the number of surveillance cameras in American gas stations and convenience stores has surged from 47 million to 70 million, a 50% jump in just 3 years, with projections hitting 85 million by 2025. This dramatic expansion is not just about deterring shoplifters. Industry studies report a 25% drop in theft when visible cameras are installed, but the real story is what happens to your image after you swipe your card or tap your phone at the pump. Modern systems capture a high-resolution facial snapshot at every transaction, instantly matching it against internal watch lists and national criminal databases. If you have ever wondered how a routine stop can follow you home, the answer lies in these silent transactions. The footage is not just archived for store security. Increasingly, it is packaged and sold to data brokers, who combine it with purchase histories, license plate scans, and even behavioral analytics. These brokers then resell your biometric profile to advertisers, insurers, and sometimes law enforcement, often without a warrant or your knowledge. For most customers, there is no practical way to opt out. The technology is embedded in the daily routine, turning every brief visit into a permanent entry in a sprawling national database. What was once a moment of anonymity, paying for gas or grabbing a snack, has become a high-frequency biometric sampling event, repeated millions of times each day across the country, with your face and habits quietly fueling a multi-billion-dollar surveillance economy. In second place, smartphones have become portable tracking devices, feeding your every move into a surveillance dragnet that operates around the clock. The Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, ICE, now purchases location data from commercial brokers, bypassing the need for a warrant and sweeping up the movements of more than 100 million devices. In 2023, procurement documents revealed ICE's use of the Weblock platform, which allows agents to monitor phone pings with precision under 3 seconds. Each ping comes from everyday apps, weather, coupons, navigation, whose embedded SDK modules quietly harvest GPS signals and sell them to data brokers. These brokers then repackage and resell the information to buyers ranging from hedge funds to government agencies. There is no notification, no consent, and no practical way to opt out. The scale is staggering. General Motors was forced to halt its sale of driver location data only after a Federal Trade Commission order in 2024, but not before it had sold precise geolocation records, sometimes as often as every 3 seconds, to consumer reporting agencies. This is not just theoretical harm. In 2021, a Catholic priest was publicly outed after journalists spent just $200 to buy his location history from a broker, tracing his visits to private venues over months without any court order. The SDK economy pays app developers based on the number of active users, creating a system where the more you move, the more valuable your data becomes. Law enforcement, advertisers, and even criminals can buy detailed histories that map your life with chilling accuracy. For the average person, opting out is a myth. Every phone, every app, every step is another entry in a permanent, invisible ledger. The convergence of data from cars, stores, and streets all flows into this apex, a vast, real-time surveillance infrastructure that turns the smartphone in your pocket into the government's most powerful tracking tool. And finally, in first place, the nation's airports have become the apex of legal surveillance, where your face is now your boarding pass. By December 2024, the TSA Category 2 biometric program had expanded to more than 80 airports, scanning the faces of tens of millions of travelers each year. The system works by capturing a high-resolution photo at the security checkpoint and matching it instantly to your government-issued ID, linking your biometric identity to every trip you take. The Department of Homeland Security touts a 99% match rate overall, but internal test reports reveal a lower 98% accuracy for black travelers, with even wider gaps for women and other marginalized groups. That 1% gap, across millions of scans, means thousands of people are flagged for extra screening or delays, often without explanation or recourse. The scope of this surveillance is staggering. The TSA procurement plans call for a nationwide rollout, with more than 400 airports slated to adopt facial recognition by 2027. A 2024 DHS test involved 1,600 volunteers, with findings showing persistent demographic disparities that have yet to be resolved. While official signage claims you can opt out and request a manual check, surveys show most travelers do not understand their rights, and staff are trained to keep lines moving quickly. The process is so efficient, averaging just 23 seconds per person, that the system has become the default, not the exception. The government insists that photos are deleted immediately after verification, but admits they are retained in rare instances for audits and system quality reviews. There is no notification when your image is kept, and no way to know if your biometric data has entered a permanent federal database. Privacy advocates warn that this normalization of biometric identity at the airport sets a precedent for other public space, making it nearly impossible to move through society without leaving a facial record behind. The stakes are clear. Millions of Americans now face mandatory federal face scans, with accuracy gaps and retention policies that remain largely hidden from public view. In the surveillance state's final escalation, the right to travel has become inseparable from the requirement to surrender your most personal identifier, your face. Across all 10 places, one truth emerges. Surveillance is seamless, legal, and nearly invisible. What once seemed private, your location, your face, your habits, is now profitable data, traded without consent. The real impact isn't just being watched, it's losing the right to disappear. In this world, privacy is not lost in a moment, it vanishes without us noticing. Stay vigilant. Your everyday life is already on record.